Greetings, individual the internet. It's Rockwell Spot Connection with my weekly comic book live stream. We're going to kick things off with my favorite book of the week, but at the same time, probably the shortest review I'm ever going to give on a comic. The Sandman Universe. 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, Neil Gaiman started Sandman. And he is revisiting said universe once again. Anyway, I could probably do an entire video just on the single of one issue, and I'd probably still miss a lot. So here's the simple version. Daniel, the new Lord of Dreaming, or the new Lord of Dreams, quits. And that's going to basically kick off or be the impetus to start for a handful more spin-off issues as a series. So that's the Sandman Universe #1, which I will probably be getting from here on out as well as the spin-offs. Anyways, moving on to Domino #5. So where we last left Domino, her and Shang-Chi, master of Kung Fu, were in a club, dancing in a club in Hong Kong. And we're surrounded by, well, those who meant to do them harm. I mentioned that they're surrounded. And Shang-Chi tells Domino to be especially cautious of the man with the fedora, which she claims is just solid life advice anywhere. So anyway, he tells her that this is going to end up being, this is going to work with her, to see if her training actually, has done any good. Meanwhile, over at Halcyon Electives, what was her name? Topaz and of course her lover are head to head with Outlaw and Diamondback. Well, Diamondback sells her explosives to save the day, and her and Outlaw managed to escape. Back in Hong Kong, we see Domino fighting various first it's funny, then it becomes just basically kind of using her luck power on the she manages to actually utilize her luck power herself. And it turns out this kind of goes back and forth between Domino and her posse. Turns out that Outlaw was unaware that Diamondback dated Captain America. We can go more, and we have this more into how he never knew that how the scientist that experimented on dude never knew that Topaz's father never knew that his own daughter was in fact a mutant. Turns out that dude believes that I actually kind of love this description. Dude, half the X-Men got records. I'm pretty sure Emma Frost got an FBI file like War and Peace. It's probably true. But yeah, the not so good doctor, has been brainwashed his subject into thinking that mutants are monsters. And so, Desmond, that's his name, Desmond. Desmond teleports out with it. But after that, Outlaw Man does kill the not so good doctor. Great little, this, and there's also a fun little scene showing just, the ways that Domino can use her luck power, which, okay, all right. Anyways, Topaz and Desmond arrive in Hong Kong, and Desmond is definitely worse for wear. And he asks Topaz to help him as best as he can. Oof. But that's the issue. Obviously, we're going to be getting the conclusion in issue 6. The conclusion to the story. I like this. Next up, we have Spider-Man, annual number 1. Starts off, it's Miles Morales' birthday. And as any teenager with superpowers should, on his birthday, he's fighting Morbius, the living vampire. No. Happy birthday to me, right? So we have a flashback to years ago. He's having birthday lunch with his uncle, and his uncle gives him $500. Kind of a, hey, yeah, you're going to this nice school. Just remember where you're from. Basically, remember you're from the hood, not from where they're at. Well, remember that you're not from, a night somewhere place nice and just barely not in the clouds. That's probably a better, remember who you are. But it also comes off as being kind of, don't forget you didn't start at the top. And then turns out this is going on just as Secret Invasion is starting up. And so Miles and some of his schoolmates go to a fashion show, and when the Skrulls attack, and Miles, not having a costume yet, grabs some stuff and works to save the day. Fights up a couple of Skrulls, including one dressed up like Spider-Man. But he saves the day on a small scale because he says he is a street level hero. Thor kind of destroys the Skrull ship because, well, Thor. Because Magic Hammer. Better way. But we get some, we get some quippiness and some ass beating. But sadly, one of Miles's friends doesn't make it. And so a few days later, we have a funeral. And then after the funeral, Miles goes to his uncle, gives him back the $500 and says, "You know what? It matters to me where you got it. So you can't tell me where you got it. I don't want it." Cut back to now, and Miles manages to stop Morbius from drinking his blood, weds him through a wall. Says, "Yeah, I'm just a scared kid in a mask. That's what I am." And then he swings away. Then there's a backup story. Brooklyn Visions Academy, the school Miles goes to. He's taking driver's ed. And while him and Gank are doing so, they run afoul of Overdrive. And Spider-Man and Miles puts on the costume and manages to save the day. And Webs just his teacher's hands over his face. It's actually rather amusing. The driver's ed teacher. Clearly not a commentary on children driving. Not at all. All right. Moving on to The Amazing Spider-Man Renew Your Vows, number 22. So, the Spider family returns. They trying to figure out where these not Spider family Spider groups are, and go after them. But Annie says, "Hey, maybe we should go to Oscorp because I just got a text about something from Normie and then nothing." And well, of course, this ruins the whole dramatic detective work montage that Peter had planned. Also, we get this really awesome shot of the family swinging out, which is clearly based on a Romita Jr. shot from way back in the day of Spidey swinging. But it looks so cool with all of the three. Anyways, yes, Normie is now the prisoner of Mr. Sinister, who reveals that he's actually he's been masquerading as a scientist hired by Normie. Sinister admits that Norman Osborn's genetic experiments were quaint, but his facilities made a suitable foundation. And it looks like Sinister intends to make Normie Osborn part of the experiments. So the Spider family arrives. Annie has one of her visions that her clone is about to show up and get it on a 3-on-3. They duke it out, and Annie realizes that, hey, every time I've had one of my visions, it's because my clone has been focused on me. I mean, if I focus on her, and so And it works. And she knocks the crap out of her for, beating up MJ. They take off the mask, and it's not Annie. So then they manage to take down the other two, unmask them, and well, Chelicera's the only one who looks human. As you can see, so anyways, they managed to find the secret lab. They free Normie. And he said, he informs them that Sinister has an army and they had to stop. And they had to stop him. And of course, Spidey, oh, you mean the trio of wannabes? Like, no, more, a lot more. And MJ asks who did this. And he says, don't know his name. Shapeshifter, colorful scientist, pale, red diamond on his forehead. Of course, Spidey being Spider-Man and having this, keeping up to date on the suit, having read the supervillain manual, the supervillain listing for years, knows, pale, red diamond, Sinister, gotcha. But apparently, Sinister's going to fix the mutants with his creations. So they're off to the Xavier School next issue. But that'll be cool. We'll have I'm kind of digging the idea of seeing I'm kind of digging the appearances that the X-Men have made in Renew Your Vows, so that I've read at least. Next up, The Hunt for Wolverine, the Adamantium Agenda, number 4. Also, the conclusion of the Adamantium Agenda. So, where this one left off, the New Avengers and X-23 had armored up and gone to it after Sinister's base. It turns out that Sinister has a massive genetic database, which kind of surprised, and we kind of get one of those moments of Iron Man's kind of Tony Stark is kind of a tool, especially when science is involved. So anyways, it starts up years ago, Tribeca. After the explosion, and Jessica, Luke, and Spidey have been called to talk to Logan without Iron Man around. And Spidey does not like looking at Logan while he's healing, and turns away and turns in one direction. And after saying, you barely look him in the eye, and Logan says, "No, I wouldn't look that way." And Logan says, Peter says, "Why?" Because I'm pretty sure one of my eyes landed over there in the blast. So basically, he explains that the three of them are his insurance. What kind of insurance? He doesn't say. Anyways, now, Sinister's hidden DNA collection. Tony explains this is the DNA of everyone in the world. So I'm in there, you're in there, we're all in there. And Spidey also has a science first moment of this search function is actually kind of impressive. At the moment, all new Wolverine is not pleased with the fact that Spider-Man is impressed with Sinister's cataloging. And Jessica explains that she's pretty sure there's a direct correlation between ego-driven sadists and those who enjoy meticulously putting things into spreadsheets. To which Tony says, totally on her own. Like, I like spreadsheets. And she kind of looks at him like, and let's be honest. Ego-driven? Tony Stark? Yeah. He looks at her like, what? So, Wolverine suggests they destroy everything. Her and Iron Man argue about it. And then Peter realizes it's not everyone. Mutants are missing. And then Wolverine and Spider-Man both sense that trouble's coming. So, fight scene. Yay! And they get past another door, and everyone's dead in this room, though. Massacred. Someone else came here for the database. Iron Man realizes that someone has copied the database recently. Points to a door and says the physical mutant DNA is through there. The digital database is contained here. Also, Sinister's more protective of the mutant information. It's heavily encrypted, and Tony's working through it. So Peter asks him why. Why work through it? Delete it. Destroy the database. Let's get out of here. Then Sinister shows up. More of a fight. And then he explained that they sent a kill team to steal his work. Wolverine asks if Sinister has Logan's body. He says he has no need for the body. He has already a piece of him in his database. And then Jessica and Peter kind of remember bring up that promise that they made to Logan. And Sinister appeals to the fact that to Tony being a scientist, and says to destroy this database would be scientific terrorism. But to see the potential. We flash back to the talk that Logan and Tony had. Turns out that what Logan saw before the explosion was not a person, but a Stark Industries logo. As the way Logan describes it is that he created a superhero mousetrap. Of course, Tony denies it and says he wouldn't. He designed it, but he would never use it. His designs were stolen. He has people looking all over the world for them. And so, and he also, Logan eventually says, "Hey, look, we need to start showing the world that we're heroes. See people," and he says, "Tony, see people before potential." And so Tony destroys the database. They go back to Jess and Luke's house in Harlem, where Danny has been babysitting Danielle, and he's like, "Wait, did you all go heroing without me?" Turns out that Tony hasn't. So he wants to let Alden Wolverine know. She truly is. She's not a clone of Wolverine. She is his daughter. She's his daughter as well as the daughter of Sarah Kinney. Sarah Kinney was your mother. And also, it turns out that one of the X-Men isn't a mutant, but has been genetically altered to appear to be a mutant. So it seems the X-Men have a sleeper agent. But who? That will most likely be revealed in the one-shot at the end of the month, Hunt for Wolverine, Dead Ends. Foods. All right. Moving on to Quicksilver Ghost Rider number 4. Of 5, no less. All right. So, Quicksilver runs Mr. Dibbles, his pet turtle, all over the world. Tahiti, the North Pole, Turkey. But it's not the same, basically. He misses Wanda, but more of those speed creatures come after him and fights them off and discovers a whole mess of them. Tries to fight them off, but no, there's too many. Wanda shows up briefly. Makes tells him to stop feeling sorry for himself and listen to her. Something is lashed onto him, and something is keeping him here. But before she can further explain, she shifts back into the primary world. So he fights. But he'd rather not fight alone or die alone, nowhere alone, as he put it. That scares him. So he runs. Plays some ping pong on himself, but there's some solitaire. Wanda and Jericho show up. Well, Dr. Voodoo. Again, they further explain what they've found, what they've learned. And again, Pietro keeps himself busy, and he reads. He reads up on Zen. And he realizes he doesn't even know what it feels like to be calm. After another chat with Wanda, he realizes how to beat them. And he basically he zens one to death. So goes back to the mansion, gets out one of his old costumes, the classic blue and white. Leaves Mr. Dibbles in a safe place. Goes back. Hears that they're chanting something. And then he sits down. He calms himself. And he realizes what it is. He finds out what it is they're chanting. Pietro. And now that he's there and working on calming himself, they all come to him. And that's where the issue ends. Alrighty. Next on the list is Exiles, number 6. So, the Exiles defeated the Time Eater, but at the cost of one of their own. So they're taking a vacation in the Bahamas with Blink's aunt. And while they're relaxing, Blink explains she wants to find her old team, who are still somewhere out in the multiverse, as they ran into them even. You know, and they all agree, yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going to go save her. They're going to go and save the old team. Well, thing is though, there's been no activity from the Callus. And they're all they all find reason to touch it at once, and they are whisked away to the Old West, where no one seems to pay the strange newcomers any mind. They go into a tavern and split up. And turns out that Pete Maximoff is trying to force himself on a woman. Then him and his buddy, the Toad, attack. Of course, he can't hit Blink because Blink just blinks away. Valkyrie takes care of Toad. And Pete explains that they'll be sorry for crossing them. Then Moira McTaggart, what passes for a doctor locally, catches the team up on what's been going on and mentions there have been some other odd people in town of late. For example, a blue woman and a bald albino. Bald albino had to be dragged kicking and screaming from the ladies' burlesque. That's right. Morphin Nocturne. And then Pete returns with the rest of his gang, or rather, the Magnus gang. Magneto, Scarlet Witch, Toad, and Mastermind. It's actually a pretty cool fight scene. Toad and Little Wolverine fight. And to be perfectly honest, that's probably they're probably on about the same level fighting wise. But they the Magnus gang manages to subdue the Exiles. And Magnus takes it as takes Iron Lad as an offering, as their pound of flesh, as it were. And they mentioned that someone else they bring up someone else has mentioned someone named King. Well, that's none other than T'Challa. Yeah, Cowboy T'Challa. I'm actually kind of digging that. The series was kind of it's the Exiles. I feel obligated to read it, but now, okay, all right. I'm liking where this is going. It's also believed that the Old West era setting they're in is because of the Time Eaters meddling in the time throughout the timeline. Which is part of why no one reacts oddly to them. Anyways, moving on to Old Man Logan number 45. Also, bit of a heads up. Old Man Logan will be coming to an end in October with its 50th issue. Which I'm going to just say, I freaking called it. So, all right. Bridgewater Commons Mall in Bridgewater, New Jersey. Bullseye's driving a stolen cop car through the mall. And Shotgun, Vendetta, Logan, and D are following. Vendetta manages to put a tracer around on the cop car, but Bullseye had a cutlery end up in the cop car while driving to the mall. He flings a few kitchen knives at their car and take the tire. In the ensuing crash, the driver is dead. So, Shotgun, Logan, turns out, and also Glob Herman has checked up on the kid. The kid's gone. As they follow the tracker, Logan kind of puts Vendetta on the spot. Kind of, after you take down Bullseye, what then? Okay, you've gotten vengeance for your husband. What then? You tell there's gonna come a point you'll tell yourself, you're either in this for the long haul or don't bother. So they follow the tracker to an abandoned factory. Bullseye knows they're there as he's drawing a target on the wall, saying, "It's not paranoia if they really are after you." Anyways, so Bullseye destroys their ride, and just before he does so, Vendetta saw him leaning out of the third floor window, so they now know he's on the third floor. The three go after Bullseye. Vendetta actually shoots Bullseye's arm, stopping him from stabbing Logan with a sai. Turns out Bullseye's been waiting for another go around with Old Man Logan. But they're not going to kill him yet. They need to know where the kid is. And Bullseye explains they're in a bit of a pickle there because if he tells them where the kid is, they'll kill him. And he also knows if he doesn't tell them, they'll kill him. So what's in it for him to say where the kid is? Either way, he's screwed. So he gives them the offer. I'll tell you where the kid is, and you let me go. Both of them kill each other another day. So an address is given an address which Logan passes along to Glob Herman. Herman gets there, and the kid's dead. Bulls's whole thing about this was basically sometimes you set something like this up and it seems like a lot of work and you never know if it's going to pay off. But when it does, it's so worth it. He managed to free himself from the handcuffs that Vendetta's put him in by moving his arms in just so that they line up with Vendetta, with the barrel of Vendetta's gun, and so she ends up freeing him herself. He then takes the gun, shoots up Logan, jumps out a window, but there was still 3 rounds. It's an odd gun. And so Vendetta's able to shoot Bullseye 3 more times, and he lands on the ground, injured badly. And shotguns is waiting on him. Logan wakes up in a hospital, cuffed to a bed. Apparently he's lost a lot of blood. Turns out Vendetta uses up all of her favors with the FBI to not get, dragged into any of this. Shotgun was arrested and sent to the box because he's on camera trying to rob a bank. Bullseye has been arrested and sent to the box as well. Now, on that, I would presume that between this and Infinity Wars #1, Kirk Bennett used the Mind Stone to free Bullseye. Anyway, Vendetta frees Logan. Logan slips out of the hospital room where Herman's waiting on him in a white van. And next issue, Alpha Flight, which it's cool to see, Logan, a version of Logan, and Alpha Flight together. Some good stuff there. All right. And last on the list for the week, we're changing it up. We're changing it up. X-Men Blue #33, which it looks like is telling beginnings of a story that happened during the Mothervine arc, as well as set up for the upcoming extermination event. So, during the Mothervine event story, after killing the Mothervine mutants, Magneto used his time machine. He's gone 19 years into the future. And ended up from Hammer Bay, Genosha, or not Hammer Bay, Genosha, Lowtown, Madripoor to New York City. Anyway, the future is blasted. I mean, typical post-war dystopian future. And Magneto sees skeletons impaled on rebar, and is fairly certain that he knows that he is the one responsible for having done this. He then sees what appears to be the spirits of the Mothervine mutants, and he, of course, feels bad about having killed them. He walks some more, and then we also see destroyed Sentinels. And then the Reavers show up. Of course, then look, Magneto tells him to turn around and walk away. Of course, these Reavers don't realize who it is they're dealing with, so, but yeah. he takes them down. He takes down a bunch of cyborgs in a manner that only the Master of Magnetism could. He apologizes to the perceived spirits of the dead, of the mother of my mutants. And then a little girl who looks like a... Okay, so I'm just going to say this as a fan of the Old Exile series. I'm pretty sure that this is supposed to be a young version of Nocturne from Exiles. But in this, because of this being a dystopian anti-mutant future, she has an M tattooed on her face like Bishop. There's also in the future a gigantic statue of Magneto in New York. Oh God. Yeah, that just kind of gave Magneto Magneto's ego the kind of hard on it never, ever needs. Apparently, though, he did what was needed. He did what he had to do, which is why he's been, well, put on a pedestal. Yeah, I know. I am home, but I can't go home. We get a little bit of background. Magneto led a group of mutants again. It was the Reaver virus that happened. And then the Avengers tried to stop the infection from spreading. So did the X-Men. But to kill the virus, the host had to die too. And there were so many carriers. And when they thought all was lost, that all the mutants were doomed, Magneto arrived, saved the day with him and his Brotherhood. But only for a little while. And in the end, the Reaver... Turns out that the Reavers would have exterminated the mutants if it weren't for Magneto and his Brotherhood. Which Magneto's Brotherhood in this, by the way, is obviously Magneto, Sabretooth, Blob, Unicorn, Exodus, Toad, and Magik. And young Nocturne explains that the Reaver virus didn't start as some sort of cybernetic contamination. It started as hate. And oh, everyone. Magneto's trying to be like, hey, don't worship what I'm doing, okay? No. And then the all-new X-Men show up. And they're not happy to see Magneto at all. In fact, it looks like they want to start some shit. Yay! So we'll see what happens then. Actually, we'll see. Well, in 2 weeks, we'll see what happens after this. Next week, we'll see the beginnings of Extermination. We'll see Extermination #1. And that, dear friends, is the end of this week's review, or of this week's live stream. I'm sorry there hasn't been much content. It's been a very busy weekend. I'm going to try and get back on the horse here pretty soon and try and get some stuff out. More than just the comic book live stream. At some point in the near future, I should be doing I should be collaborating with another YouTuber on a Wonder Woman review. So that'll be cool. Hopefully, that's really gonna be it for today. For right now, as always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my social media and Patreon are in the description down below. This is Rockable Spock signing off, saying live long. This is Rockable Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.